Okay, it's 6:30. I'd like to call the special meeting to order. Everybody is present for the roll. Items for council consideration, ordinance number 1056, face mask ordinance. Before we begin discussion on this item, Sarah, we did have a few public comments.
We did.
Would you like to read those?
Firstly, thank you for the concern and care, but most importantly, thank you for listening to the citizens of Lansing. Please do not extend the mask mandate for our community. Instead, I encourage you as elected officials to make unemotional decisions about what is best for the city of Lansing, rather than following the lead of other cities and outside organizations. The citizens of Lansing are intelligent and caring and are able to determine when or where to utilize a mask, as we saw this past summer with widespread voluntary adoption of masks. Now that the vaccine is spreading, the necessity of mandating a mask is simply theater. Your oath of office requires that you follow the U.S. Constitution, which was instituted to protect citizens' rights from government overreach, however well-intentioned the government may be. Thank you, Sarah George, Lansing, Kansas. I have seen the proposed ordinance for continuing the mandatory mask wearing. I have also seen that Leavenworth is not continuing with their requirement. The city of Lansing doesn't think our residents are capable of making decisions about wearing masks. Our city council believes that they have to make the decision for us. So shoppers will be required to wear a mask in Aldi and QT, but not at Home Depot or Dillon's. Does anyone think this will cause a little confusion? How many cases are currently in Lansing? 10. How many are at KSP? 7. From the county graphic, it is difficult to tell if KSP is included in the city total. If it is, that means Lansing has 3. I find it insulting that there is a fine and that our police department is tasked with enforcement. It is ridiculous. I urge you to make a statement advising people to wear masks if you feel compelled to, but don't continue with the mandatory requirement. Respectfully, Tom and Andy Pulowski, 186 Canyon View.
Okay, just so the council knows, I also received 4 emails not wanting to actually have me read them, but they were for the mask mandate. So we had a couple that were against, a couple for. You guys probably also heard. So this ordinance would require the wearing of a mask from April 1st until 30 April 2021, with the ability to repeal the ordinance early should the governing body decide to do so. So I'll open the floor for discussion before we get to any motions. Greg, did you have your hand up? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start. Okay. I said this in the meeting the other day. I do not think that we should continue the mask mandate. I think I agree with the letters that Sarah wrote. It's time to let the residents of Lansing make the decisions. And if they want to wear masks, they can wear masks. I was coming home today from QT or driving by QT and thought, okay, you know, what's going to happen now? Leavenworth is not extending their mask mandate. When we established this mask mandate, we went to Leavenworth with the strict intention of doing it so we wouldn't confuse people, so that Lansing and Leavenworth would be the same. All right. We did that. We went 10 months without a mask mandate. 10. All right. We've had a mask mandate now for 3. It's time to put the responsibility back into the residents of Lansing's hands. I've had 2 business owners call me, both of them very adamant about not extending the mask mandate. So I agree with those letters that Sarah wrote. We should let the residents take responsibility for their own health and their own safety. And we should let the businesses make their own decisions. My other concern is that a lot of these businesses are experiencing an influx of people from Wyandotte County. All right. Some of these businesses are making money. Now, if Leavenworth doesn't have the mask mandate and we do have the mask mandate, how many of those people are just going to fly right by Lansing and go into Leavenworth? And how much money are we going to be costing the businesses here in Lansing? So I strongly urge a no vote on this ordinance. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, just one correction. Sarah didn't write those. She just read them.
She read, sorry.
Yeah. But don't want to get Sarah in trouble, you know. So anybody else have anything they want to talk about with reference to the mask mandate? Any other comments, discussion? Marcus.
Yeah, what would a meeting be without me having to comment, right? So I concur with Greg Bueller, but I just want to put out there that I received some nice emails asking to extend the mask mandate. I received personal phone calls asking to end the mask mandate, text messages, and even a nice nurse in our local area that we had a nice phone call and to extend the mask mandate. I've heard all these things and I've seen it. I just don't feel that we need to mandate the mask. And I'm not saying that we don't wear the mask. Everybody can continue to wear the mask. That's not what we're saying. What we're saying is we're not mandating the mask. And we're fully, and I want to say this too, we are fully supporting our businesses and our schools with wearing masks. No one's ever said not to. If the business says wear the mask, then you wear the mask. If you don't want to wear the mask and you see the signs on the door, go do your business somewhere else. Oblige with the businesses and what they're requiring of. But I agree with Greg Bueller. I don't think we need to continue the mask mandate. That's all I got, Mayor. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcus. Jesse.
Yeah, I'll agree with Greg and Marcus. Everybody knows where I stand on this issue. You know, I guess the disappointing thing that I'm disappointed with right now is we've had some letters written in support of letting it expire, but it seems like it's overwhelming with people wanting to extend it. That's letters to the city. Now, if you go to social media, there's a lot of people that want it to expire. And I guess it's disappointing that the same people that are on social media voicing their opinions should be sending letters to the city. They should be sending emails to us and expressing their concerns with it instead of just, letting us decide for them. They should be expressing their views more to us, because I know there's a lot more people out there that want it to expire that have voiced their opinion. So for those of you that are out there watching this right now, whether we do extend it or do let it expire, I want you to be aware that we need your input. We need you to say what you want us to do as your leaders of the city. We are your voice. So get out there and let us know via email or via letter what you want us to do. With that being said, I'm siding with letting it expire. I agree that we need to put that leadership back into our businesses to let them run their own business, so that we need to treat Lansing residents like they're adults. I understand that there are some concerns with people in the community with health issues or children with health issues. And I understand that. And like Marcus said, we're not saying don't wear a mask. Wear a mask if you want to wear a mask, social distance, do all the things that you're doing now. But again, it's mandating it. It's being forced to do it. I mean, it's taking away the rights and the freedoms that we've been given. I mean, this council is made up of a majority of military people who fought for years for the freedoms of this country. And now you want to take away those freedoms and make me wear a mask if I don't want to, and make a business owner put up a mask mandate on their private property. Well, that's taking away their freedom too. And I agree that some people say, oh, well, it's protecting the community. Well, if you're that opposed to it, you're not forced to go out. That's sad to say, but we're not forced to go into these places. We're not forced to spend our dollars there. And that's my problem with it. I agree that people are going to leave Lansing and go to Leavenworth to spend money because they don't have a mandate and we do. And I think that's going to hurt our local economy. And I'm not putting economy before safety. Don't get me wrong. But I just think that's going to hurt our economy in the long run, because I know that people will do that. It's already happened in the past. So I'm against the mask mandate. I'm for letting it expire. And that's just my opinion based on some of the input I've seen and heard over the past couple of months. That's all I got.
Thanks, Jesse. Anyone else? Gene.
I guess it depends on what social media outlet you use, because I'm seeing the opposite of what Jesse's telling me he's seeing, and I take him at his word. So I guess it just depends on who you're with on that. I have overwhelmingly, including businesses, been asked to extend it for one more month. And I'm going to do a little something on the numbers here. I don't know where the earlier person got their numbers, but The numbers I'm seeing on the Leavenworth County website was we had 26 positive cases on March 1st and 71 positive cases on March 22nd. So we're back into this up, down, up, down, up, down kind of a thing, it looks like. Not sure what spring break will do to this. And I just read before we came on that the Kansas City metro area from a year ago today is 4 times greater with the COVID cases than they were at the same time last year. So I'm going to vote for it. And those are just some of the reasons why. Thank you.
Anyone else? Besides Marcus? No, go ahead, Marcus. I'll give you another shot.
Hey, I just wanted to ask Tim if he would read for us. I sent Tim Vandal a note today just to ask him to read back to us what our surrounding communities are doing and you know what
Yeah, we
what
have that.
are they facing. If we could do that over.
Yeah,
Yep.
we did.
So Baser never enacted any type of mask requirement or anything like that. It's my understanding that Tongies is scheduled to expire on April 14th, but they're going to discuss it at their April 5th meeting. As you guys know, Leavenworth is expiring on March 31st. Wyandotte County had a countywide requirement, so the cities weren't really required to do anything individually. But I believe that expires on March 31st as well. So those were the surrounding communities that I looked into based on Marcus's email.
Okay, and I had discussed with Greg Robinson today a bill that's on the floor right now, Senate Bill 40, which, at least in the layman's terms, basically rescinds all of the general orders related to the COVID pandemic that the governor has put out thus far, which means as of March 31st, those wouldn't be in play anymore. And that bill, I don't know for sure, but it's likely to pass. And I think it's going to be voted on this week. So legally after that, I think the governor has until, Greg, did you say the May 22nd or something?
Mayor, council, after we spoke, I did look up on the website. It appears that the Senate and the House both had adopted their measures. And according to what I'm looking at here, is that it was presented to the governor for her review on March 18th, I guess just this last Thursday. So she probably will either have to reject it, approve it, or let it pass without basically signing it or rejecting it. That being said, in reference to the it's a May 28th date, which I think is probably strategically chosen because of Memorial Day weekend. But it appears that this legislation, if approved and enacted, will basically let the state of emergency stand till no later than May 28th. However, on March 31st, any and all executive orders that she has mandated from her office since the COVID emergency was declared will be null and void. It will no longer exist. So I was trying to look up our ordinance just real quick to see if that emergency declaration still exists after March 31st, all the way up through May 28th, it appears that we'd be able to piggyback on that emergency declaration. However, because all the other stuff is null and void as of March 31st, she would have to go back and try to re-implement the mask mandate. And that requires that it be a vote of at least 5 votes of an 8-person legislative coordinating council. So as of March 31st, if this is enacted into law, all her mask mandate, anything else that she's done is now null and void, except the declaration of emergency still exists through May 28th. So we won't be able to piggyback on her mask mandate as of March 31st if it is approved and passed into law. And I should say, I got this today, so that's how I interpreted it in my readings today. I probably read this thing several times and have made marginal notes on this just to try to see how it interacts with each section that was amended in this Senate Bill 40.
Yes, I mean, I guess the bottom line is if by chance we decide to vote and enforce the mask mandate, it could at some point on the 31st be null and void, and then we'd have to go back and reference whatever new mandate is put out by the governor if she mandates something, to then do it again. So I want you guys to be aware of that. So, you know, whether we vote for or against, that is in play going down the road. I thought you guys should all be aware of that, just so you know that's coming, so nobody's shocked if something happens like that on the 31st. Yes, Ron?
Because I think we've had a very good discussion on this issue. And I look at it this way: if we do vote to extend the mandate, the bad news is that there'll be some people that aren't for it, and they'll be inconvenienced for another 30 days. The good news is that there's a real possibility that we could prevent someone from coming down with the disease. And if that's a possibility, then I think that's something worth doing. And so I'm for the extension.
All right, thanks, Ron. Anybody else have any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, do you want me to go into that for a couple minutes on that other where the Senate bill is trying to or allowing local governments to have more control over what they do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was important, but I also know what our county will do. So, I mean,
Right.
even though it's more applicable,
Yeah.
it probably wouldn't apply as much to us as our county would probably opt out anyway.
That's true. And again, if this is actually enacted into law, what it does is it allows any entity, any aggrieved person to litigate any ordinance, whether it's, or face mask mandates or whatever. The court has to hear the case within 72 hours and issue an opinion within 7 days. So if we enact this and the governor mask mandate expires, we have nothing else to piggyback on, to my understanding. So therefore, we would have to come back and make our own case for why this should be extended. And this SB 40 limits our declaration of emergency powers to 7 days. So as I talked with the mayor about, it's like you got 72 hours to have a hearing, 7 days to get a decision. It seems like potentially we'd have a mandatory 10-day window where if somebody litigated this, that we would then, that's the longest we'd get, because unless somebody can point me to a study that says these masks are actually effective and not hindering and all this type of stuff, I don't know what the argument would be to say that we should be able to extend this out past 7 days.
Right. So basically what he's saying is like local governments could do something for 7 days during this emergency period on our own without basing what we do on like what the governor is saying to do as a mandate for county. But there is a lot of language in there about litigation and giving a bunch of powers to residents and business owners who could litigate. So after that thing expires, we'd have to reconsider it again if we do vote tonight to extend it. Want to get everything out on the table. Anybody got any other discussion? Okay, then I need either a motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 1056 or a motion to deny ordinance number 1056.
Mayor, I make a motion, we deny ordinance number 1056 and let the mask mandate expire on the 31st of March.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Sarah?
Mr. Kirby?
You're muted, Gene.
No.
Mr. Major,
Yes.
Mr. Garvey,
Yes.
Mr. Bueller,
Yes.
Mr. Dixon,
No.
Mr. Brungart,
No.
Mr. Stednica,
No.
Mr. Trinkle.
Because the no is for to keep it, the no is to let it expire. I want to understand that we're
The no extends it another
Motion.
30 days.
No.
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 The
it would
motion on the floor is to deny the ordinance, which means we would not extend the ordinance.
Okay.
So a yes vote is we're denying the ordinance, right, from being extended. And a no vote is that we're we're just on this one, we're voting no. And we'd have to have another motion to actually approve.
I'm for keeping it for the next 30 days, but whatever that one. That's just yes, would be the no. I'm trying to listen to all that.
Okay, you voted no.
Yeah.
Five noes to.
The motion did not
Yes.
pass.
Okay, then I need a motion to approve and adopt the ordinance 1056.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Just a point of discussion based on what I think I heard Greg say is if the Senate votes to expire this on April 1st, we can be sued by any business and we have 10 days to make a decision, or we can go to court and have to pay all that stuff, right?
Mr. Bueller, I don't think that's 100% accurate, because I think potentially that what would happen is that if that does pass, then if we're piggybacking on her mask mandate to declare this, it's probably going to become null and void, because we don't have anything to support the ordinance going forward. If that's what we're piggybacking on, is her current mask mandate and her declaration of emergency. If she's stripped of that mask mandate executive order, and we're basing in part on that, then ours potentially becomes null and void on the 31st as well.
Okay, thank you
But
for
if
clarifying.
But if it doesn't become null and void, then I would say yes, then what you're saying is probably going to potentially be accurate.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, so the language in here is based on, in a paragraph, we're basing that on the Kansas Executive Order 2052 requiring masks or other face coverings in public. So, I mean, the way we have it written right now, if the state then decides to cancel it on the 31st, then we are either going to have to come back with a new ordinance and revote on it if it passes tonight. So we may be right back at this after the 31st, regardless if we decide to extend it tonight. So we have a motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 1056 on the floor. Right, we have a motion and a second. Sarah, call the roll.
Mr. Kirby,
Yes.
Mr. Major,
No.
Mr. Garvey,
No.
Mr. Bueller,
No.
Mr. Dixon,
Yes.
Mr. Brungart,
Yes.
Mr. Stednica,
Yes.
Mr. Trinkle.
Yes.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you, gents, and we'll see you in a, what's that? I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. Call the roll.
Mr. Kirby,
Yes.
Mr. Major,
Yes.
Mr. Garvey,
Yes.
Mr. Bueller,
Yes.
Mr. Dixon,
Yes.
Mr. Brungart,
Yes.
Mr. Stednica,
Yes.
Mr. Trinkle.
Yes.
We are adjourned.